Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I'm the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for BNI Connect. I'd like to welcome everybody to the webinar today. Today's webinar is going to wrap up our member series of monthly webinars, and today we're going to talk about the visitor process, how you can use BNI Connect to kind of help with that visitor process and to make it a little bit more efficient. So how you can invite visitors through BNI Connect, how you can register them, and even how BNI Connect helps you to follow through with those visitors. So that's our topic of conversation today. So we started this series last week, and we started by talking about the filling out your profile, then the online slips and how to use the mobile app. Then we went into this week, the kind of social side of BNI Connect, the networking side of BNI Connect. Follow that up with yesterday's tools and reports. And again, we're going to round it off today with visitors here in BNI Connect. Couple of housekeeping things before we go forward with today's webinar. Firstly, if you're here with me today, it is the 27th of July, 2017. You are listening to a live presentation. So if you have any questions at all as we're going through the material today, please do feel free to ask those questions. The easiest way to do that is to type your question in. I'll see it pop up on my screen and I'll be able to answer that as we're going through the material today. If you are listening to this at some other point in time, you have found our recordings. We do try to upload our recordings to youtube.com/BNI Connect Global and also to our support site, which you can get to by clicking on the question mark within BNI Connect. These contents are generally about 30 minutes or so. Actually, this one tends to be a little bit shorter than that full 30 minutes. But that said, I am always happy to stay on these webinars until every single question has been answered. So I promise to get through the content portion of it within that 30 minutes. But if you have any questions, do feel free to ask those questions. So let's go ahead and get started. And as I said, today we're going to talk about visitors in BNI Connect. And there's a couple of different ways that BNI Connect can help you with the visitor process. Now, this is just a very quick slide showing you the different things that BNI Connect can help with. So the flow of visitors, it starts with actually meeting somebody that could be interested in BNI, and you can invite them to join, well, not join, but to show up and attend a BNI chapter meeting. That can be done both through BNI Connect and through the mobile app. So I'll show you how that works. The second part of that, and this really here, this is the game changer of the whole thing, is being able to register a visitor before a chapter meeting. Now that's both registering them as, I can register them for an upcoming meeting, or they can register themselves by RSVPing to that invitation that you sent. And the great part about that is it starts a whole process of notifications and allows you to do some follow-up, and it reminds them to go to the meeting. So I'm going to show you a little bit more about that as well. And then the last part of the process is the follow-up. So once we've either marked them as attended, or if they never pre-registered, put them into BNI Connect, it then sends a follow-up, and it also allows us to track that going forward. So let's take a look at this process, starting from the beginning, this inviting visitors process. So the way we do that, let me switch over to BNI Connect here now. Now, as I mentioned on the call yesterday, in order to get to some functions in BNI Connect, you do have to go to the scary places beyond the home screen. So to get to where we're going to go is the visitor invitation and visitor management is located under operations. So the day-to-day management, the day-to-day operations of the chapter. So we do that by going to operations, and under operations chapter, we have a bunch of different options. Over here on the left-hand side, one of them is create email. The second one down is email visitor invitation, and this is the one that we're going to use to send out. It's a nice predefined template that was designed by the marketing department of BNI, and it's meant to appeal to somebody that may not know a lot about what BNI is and what BNI does. Now, before I go into the ins and outs of how to use this, just a quick caveat. BNI is a word of mouth referral organization. And if you've been to Member Success Program yet, you'll know that one of the bare minimum requirements to passing a referral is that the person is expecting your call. The person is willing to talk about the referral, to talk about the process. That is the absolute bare minimum that the person is expecting to be contacted. Now, when we look at a visitor invitation, essentially what we're doing is we are referring BNI to somebody. We're referring our chapter. We're referring the BNI meeting. We're referring the BNI experience to another person. And this invitation should be treated like a referral. And the bare minimum is that this person is expecting to receive this invitation. They're expecting to receive this referral to BNI. That means that this invitation, this email, should really always be a follow-up to a verbal invitation. So for example, let's say that I'm out at a networking event. I do a lot of networking with the Chamber of Commerce. It's a great relationship. Get to meet lots and lots of people that are both in BNI and not yet in BNI. But let's say that I'm at one of these networking events and I'm talking to somebody, hey, you know what? I think that you could really benefit by coming to a BNI meeting. That's when you say, do you mind if I send you an invitation? Once they say yes, now it's okay to send them this email invitation. Again, because they're expecting the invite. So I could go back to my office and click into BNI Connect and go to email visitor invitation. And it's a very simple form. So there is a regional template that's in place that has all of the actual words in the invitation itself. All you need to do is fill out these couple of details and we'll take care of the rest. So the person, Donald Morgan from Morgan Co. And then you just put in the email address. Now the email address, they will get a copy of it. Now you'll also be sent a CC. You'll also be sent as the sender of or the reply to address for that invitation. That way, if they reply to it, you will get that response. But you're put in as a CC so that you know when it was sent. So let's put this in, and you know what? I'm going to use my own email address here so you guys can see what this looks like. And then you can, if you want to, and this is optional, you can put in a personal message. The personal message will appear at the top of the invitation. So you could say something that makes sure that the person recognizes you. It's kind of an icebreaker that, hey, you know what? This wasn't just an automated message. This was something that was deliberately sent and has some customization to it. So I could put in, great meeting you at the Chamber networking event. Here is the invitation I promised. I look forward to seeing you next week. Right? So that's a nice little message that makes sure that person knows there was some thought put into this. This is coming from me. So I'm going to go ahead and click send. As I said, it's going to wrap that up in a nice little package. And it's going to send that immediately to my email. So I should get that in just a couple of seconds here. 5, 4, 3, and there it is. So here you can see it did. Great meeting you at the Chamber networking event. Here's the invitation I promised. I look forward to seeing you. Then it has a nice welcoming. How will you grow your business? How are you planning to build your business? We have 211,000 members and $12.6 billion. Then it also has all of your chapter information. So it has your chapter name and when, what day and what time you meet. And it also gives them the ability to RSVP. And I'm going to get to that in just a second. But we also have a site that has been developed to learn more about BNI. It has some testimonials on it, and you can follow our Twitter and Facebook and all of that. And as I said, if they hit reply, that reply came from you and will go back to you. Now, as I mentioned before, there is another way to do this, and that way is through the mobile app. So if you have the mobile app on your phone, you can use this there as well. So if I go in, I can go to BNI Connect. I can use BNI Connect on my mobile phone, and this is the mobile app, and there's tons of great stuff in here. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, please go to the Android Google Play Store or the Apple, the iOS iTunes store, the iTunes App Store, and you can download the BNI mobile app. So here on the app, we have a bunch of different things, but down along the bottom, you will see an icon that says invite. So invite, and here it's pretty much the same exact form that you would find in the full BNI Connect version. The difference here is that you can use your address book to send it. So if it's somebody that you already know, rather than have to type this all in, I can just click this address book icon up there in the upper left-hand corner. If you missed that, that's this right here, this icon in the upper, did I say left? The upper right-hand corner of the screen. And you click that, and you'll be able to look in your address book for somebody as opposed to having to type everything in. So I'm going to go ahead and select myself again here, Jeremy Walsh. I can choose, different pieces of information to include. And really, it's only going to be using the email address and the name, and it automatically fills it in for me. Once again, that message is optional, but I could put in, please come to my meeting next week. Right, and I click send now at the bottom. And once again, I should get that in just a couple of seconds. Let's see if that comes in. There it is. My invitation has come in. So I'm going to open this up, and please come to my meeting next week. You can see the email is indeed mobile friendly as well, and it has all the same information as the original invitation that I sent from BNI Connect. All right, so that is the invitation piece of this. Now, of course, the invitation is the first step. And the second step of this process is pre-registering the visitors. And that means that before the meeting has happened, we really, really want our potential visitors to register themselves for that upcoming meeting. Now, the easiest way for them to do that is to actually go in and click the RSVP from that invitation that was sent to them. Right? So if I have this invitation open from before, I could just click this RSVP now link. And what that does is it brings them to a registration page that is for your chapter. So this will take them right to the page for your chapter. They choose the date that they're going to visit. Now, we're in the last couple of days of July here, so there's no valid days left in July. This particular chapter, my BNI Burr chapter, we meet on Wednesdays, so I can choose any Wednesday that I would like to visit. And then I just fill out the rest of this information. So this was Donald and phone number, email address. I can choose my profession and classification, who invited me, and the CAPTCHA code. That's to make sure that we don't have robots registering a whole bunch of people for meetings. I can go ahead and click submit, and a couple of cool things will happen. I'll show you what exactly happens in just a second. I do want you to know that there are other ways that a person can register. So not just from the invitation, but let's say that I'm at my regional website. So bniri.com, that's where I happen to be a member. Within that site, there's all the different chapter pages. So if I go and I look for a chapter, and I have my BNI Wakefield chapter where I'm a member, and there is an option here. It says visit this chapter. And if I click on visit this chapter, this is the exact same registration page. So this is two different ways that a visitor could possibly register. But wait, there's more. On the chapter website, so if I go to the actual chapter website, there is a visit chapter link up here. Again, same type of form, same process. Now, the final way is, let's say that they don't want to register. Let's say that you just come across somebody that says, you know what, I'd love to come and visit BNI. Say, hey, great. Do you mind if I register you for the meeting? So you can use one of those public pages if you want to, or you can just go into Operations, Manage Visitors, and you should see an option that says register a prospective visitor before a meeting. So for an upcoming meeting. And this is really, it's the exact same form that we have on the outside. It's just that it's on the inside of BNI Connect after you've logged in. So why do we want you to do this? And the reason being that it really turns around the mentality of the visitor. And if you've ever invited somebody to BNI and they didn't show up to the meeting, you'll know what I'm talking about. So what happens is, as soon as the person registers, a couple of emails get generated. So the first email that gets generated goes to the chapter leadership team. And the chapter leadership team gets a message saying, hey, congratulations, you have a visitor coming to your chapter. Donald Duck is confirmed to visit on August 2nd. Please be prepared to welcome them. And then at the bottom, it has all of their contact information. Now the leadership team, which includes the president, the vice president, the secretary treasurer, all of the visitor hosts, and also the chapter director consultant, they can do some initial follow-up. They can even call this visitor ahead of time and say, hey, Donald, I noticed that you've registered for this meeting. Can't wait to see you. You know, we have this guy named Mickey Mouse in our chapter. I would love to introduce you. I think you guys can work really, really well together, right? The more of these touches that we can have with this potential visitor, the more likely that A, they're going to show up to the meeting, and B, that they're going to feel comfortable once they get there. And we all know that a comfortable visitor, A, would like to use people's services in the room, and B, might even submit an application for membership and become a more permanent part of the network. The next email that goes out goes to the potential visitor, and they get an email saying, thank you for your interest. Hey, Donald, thank you for your interest. You are officially confirmed to visit BNI on this particular date at this particular time. Right? And what this does, this is the mental shift for the visitor. This right here, so I have a theory, right, on why visitors don't show up to chapters. And I think it's because a lot of times without this part of the process, what we do is a very casual invitation. So again, we're out at that networking event. Let's say it's a chambers event, and it's one of those after hours events, and there's probably 100 people there, and we come across, hey, why don't you come to my BNI meeting? Sure, I'd love to come to your BNI meeting. Sounds great. Well, why don't you come? It's on Thursday. It's at the Elks Club. Get to introduce you to like 50 people. Oh, that sounds great. I'll see you then. By the way, what time is it? Oh, it's 7 o'clock. Awesome. I'll see you at 7 o'clock. Oh, by the way, that's 7 o'clock a.m. Yeah, I'll see you there. So a couple of days goes by, a week goes by, they're getting ready to go to the meeting, and the alarm clock goes off at, oh God, 30 in the morning. And what's that visitor thinking? They're thinking, oh my goodness, these people are crazy getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning to go to this networking meeting. And they're thinking, you know what? I don't know how I feel about walking into a room of strangers at 7 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, this is going to be just one of those networking events, and there's going to be 100 people there. And you know what? Nobody's going to notice if I don't show up. So they hit the alarm clock and hit the snooze button and move on and don't go to the BNI meeting. What they don't realize is that you're probably standing there at the door waiting for them to show up. So, you have to remember that these visitors, or potential visitors, I should say, have never been to a BNI meeting before, so they don't know what they're missing out on, right? They're just expecting another networking event. They don't know that we have an agenda. They don't know that they're going to have a chance to personally introduce themselves and meet people, not just during open networking, but they'll have an opportunity to give a presentation, right? They're going to be able to give 45 or 60 seconds about their business and tell everybody and meet those people in the room. Right? Again, they just think it's another networking event, so they hit that snooze button. This right here, you are officially confirmed. That's what changes the mentality. Now they know they're obligated to go to the meeting. More visitors show up when they are registered because they now have that commitment. Right? So that's the pre-registration piece. Now the meeting has to happen, and hopefully you do things like have a member name badge waiting for them so that they can put their visitor badge on and everybody knows what their name is, and people are there to greet them and they have a great experience. Then the meeting happens, and then the last part of this process is the follow-up process. Now, most of this you're not going to be doing yourself unless you're part of the leadership team, but I just want to give you a very quick overview. It does make life a lot easier for your visitor hosts because now they don't have to type in all that information after the meeting, especially for things like a visitor's day when you might have 10, 15, 25, 50 visitors in the room. If all those visitors register themselves, then all the person has to do is mark attendance as opposed to typing in 50 visitors worth of contact information, usually taken from a visitor sign-in sheet that was written by in chicken scratch. But we have this manage visitors here, and if you happen to be a visitor host or on the leadership team, after the meeting, you could, if they hadn't pre-registered, you just go in and record a visitor. And this record a visitor process will allow you to search for previous visitors and record them. However, if they have previously registered, we can just go in to manage registered visitors and mark attendance. This will show us all of our registered visitors that we haven't made decisions on yet. And we have here Donald Duck. They were registered for August 2nd. Let's just pretend we hopped in our DeLorean and went forward a week in time. I can go in and edit this, and I can mark it as visitor attended. Again, instead of having to type in all that additional information, I can just do that and click submit. It's then going to search for anybody that has this email address because they would end up being a duplicate. And if it is the same person, we can go ahead and add a new visit for them. All right, so that is the visitor process. It starts with inviting the visitors, pre-registering the visitors, and then we have the visitor follow-up, which also will send them an email thanking them for coming to the meeting. So this is all great in theory, right? But does it actually work? Do more visitors actually show up at the meeting? I will tell you that I like to test things. I'm more of a data-driven person, and being part of the BNI Connect team here, I had the opportunity a couple of years ago when this first got rolled out. I had the opportunity to try this in real life because we were having a visitors day. Now, I believe in doing visitors days, by the book with the letters and everything else, but the only thing I wanted to add to this is to say, you know what, once we have a visitor that's confirmed, they say they're going to come, let's add them to BNI Connect. right? Let's just add them in as a prospective visitor. That way they get the reminder and et cetera, the email chain, all of that. So we agreed to do that. Now, before the meeting, before the meeting where we were having our visitors day, we do what we always did. We go around the room. Hey, how many visitors you have coming? Oh, I have 2 visitors. I have 3 visitors. I have 5 visitors. I have no visitors. I have 1 visitor. By the time we were done doing that sound off, we're like, wow, we have 50 members. They all said they're going to be bringing like 2 to 3 visitors. We're going to have like 150 visitors next week. That's a lot of visitors. However, if you've ever been through a visitor's day before, you know that generally speaking, traditionally about 10 to 20% of those supposed visitors are going to show up, which means, if we were lucky, we weren't going to get 150. We were going to get like 15 to 30. Now, to make matters worse, I had been pushing the whole time, we got to register our visitors in BNI Connect, register them, register them, register them. When I went to look, because there's a report, we had a total of 6 people registered as of a week before the meeting. It's like, you know what, guys? We have a discrepancy here. When we went around the room, you guys told me there's going to be like 150 people here next week. We have 6 people registered. What's going on? So I just sent this email out, and I gave them a link to be able to register their visitors. And after I sent it out, I started getting all those email notifications. Hey, a new visitor's registered, a new visitor's registered, a new visitor's registered. We had 21 registered visitors. Like, hey, you know what? Maybe I should just nudge them a little more each day. And every day I sent this out. 4 days, we had 26. 3 days, we had 34. 2 days, we had 39. 13 hours until our visitors day, and we had 45 registered visitors. So normally, given the 10 to 20%, we're thinking we're going to get maybe 9, 10 visitors. If we're lucky, maybe we get as high as 15 to 20. Well, 42 of those 45 visitors actually showed up. The results show it. Now, we've done this a number of times since then, and we almost always get the same results. The next time we did it, we had 30 registered visitors and 25 of them showed up. We did this recently about 4 or 5 months ago. We had 47 visitors registered. We had 53 that showed up. How do you figure that one? But I think a lot of it has to do with the email process, the reminder email that goes out, and also notifying the leadership team so they can proactively pre-follow up with those visitors. All right, so we are just about at the bottom of the hour. So what I'd like to do is to open this up to any questions. Does anybody have any questions? And by the way, I do want to just say a big thank you. I know that we have a lot of people. I recognize a lot of names on here: Claire and Alicia and Alexis and Tyler and Scott and Miranda and May, Lamar. You guys have been on I think just about every single one of these webinars for the past 8, 9 days. Thank you so much for taking some time to learn more about BNI Connect, and hopefully you found a couple of ways that this can help to enhance your experience as a member, but also to help to grow your chapter. Alicia has a comment. She says, I think you're absolutely right about the lack of response to the casual invitations. Being able to send the invitations via BNI Connect helps to legitimize the invitation. And you're absolutely right. I hadn't even thought of that word, legitimizing. And that's so very true. It's no longer this, just out in the air concept. This is an official invitation. It helps to solidify that. I think that's a great observation, Alicia. Thank you so much. Scott here, he said, I've made each one. I'll be talking about these as I do my ambassador work. Scott, awesome. Thank you. If you need copies of these webinars or anything like that, just let me know and I'd be happy to send those off to you. Feel free to share them or use the links on the support site or anything. So Lamar has a question. Any updates on the app? Will they have a way to confirm an invite for a visitor soon instead of the way it works now? So here's the deal. I'm only telling you guys this because you've been here so many times. I just got it today the next version of the app that should be coming out soon. I'm not going to give you a date because it still has to go through testing, but the next version of the app does have the ability right now to register the visitors. So if you do get a confirmed visitor, just like we can do it in BNI Connect, you would be able to register the visitor through the app as opposed to just inviting them. Right now, if you wanted to do it from your mobile, the only way to do it would be to send out that visitor invitation, and then you'd be able to go in and RSVP, use that RSVP link yourself, but put your visitors information in there. So that's definitely something that's it's almost here, being able to register a visitor through the app. So again, I haven't even opened it up and tested it yet. I just got the my copy today, but we're going to test it out. Lamar says, well, now that I've spilled the beans on this, can you mention any other changes? Right now, that's the big change that's coming in the next release. We don't have anything else, really scheduled right now that I can talk about. I can tell you that one of the big things we're going to do later this year, we're going to be doing cross-region referrals. So you can refer to, here in the United States, anybody in the United States or anybody in Canada. We don't have the ability to do cross-world quite yet, but hopefully towards the end of the year, we'll have cross-region. And then another big thing that we're working on is in-app notifications. So those are the big things for this year as far as the app goes. May says, I just would like to thank you for all of this information. This will be a great help when I'm one of our visitor hosts for next year. Thank you so much, May, and good luck with the visitor host position. Lamar, let me show you one other thing. If you go to the question mark here in BNI Connect, so you go to the question mark, that will take you to the support site. So down at the bottom, and there's a link directly to this in the app, we have this thing called the community. And in the community, join the conversation. This is where you can provide some suggestions and feedback. And mobile app suggestions and feedback, we have 212 suggestions so far. Now, a lot of those are repeats, one of the very popular ones. I mean, the whole reason, by the way, that we're doing visitor registration, that was the #1 requested thing coming through this suggestions and feedback, right? So some of the other top requests are being able to print your slips so you can hand them out at the meeting. So there, other things that we're going to be working on are coming directly from this suggestions and feedback. I highly recommend that you go through and take a look through these, vote for them, put a comment on them, or make another suggestion. And that's what we're using. We're actually today, right before this webinar at 1:30 in the afternoon, Stephen Schwartz, who's he's the big cheese. He is the Vice President of Global Technology for all of BNI worldwide. Both of us, we went through every single new request and compiled all the results into a spreadsheet. And that's what we work off of in order to come up with the next things to put into the system. So have a look in there and make some suggestions. Lamar, does that help? Does that give you some additional insider information? All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns, complaints, compliments? I'd love to hear them. And again, if you found these useful, a good referral for me, please let other people know about them. Now I'm about to start my leadership team series of webinars. You guys are welcome to join me for those as well, but they're really geared towards people that are either stepping into a leadership term or that are currently in the leadership team. So we're going to talk about leadership team tools and reports. We're going to talk about chapter goals. We're going to talk about online renewals and web pages. Then I'm going to do a couple of special webinars that I haven't done in a long time. So I will restart this series, but I'm also going to do a brand new one called Power of Connect. I'm going to roll a whole bunch of stuff into a 1-hour webinar for tracking your BNI activity online and mobile, and then one for expanding your network. So if you'd like to sign up for any of those, or if you could please, a good referral for me, pass those registration links on to other people in your network, that would be an awesome referral. All right, I don't see any other questions. So going once, going twice, and thank you again. I hope you have a wonderful weekend and happy connecting.